share, and I may have shared it directly with divine women in my client base or whatever. But the hamster wheel is something else. It takes a lot for some people to get off the hamster
Mm-hmm.
right? When they
Yeah.
can really benefit for tapping in, they've asked for community or
Mm-hmm.
a way to connect with like-minded, or maybe they're just entering into this
Right.
level of commitment and they may not have exposure to it, you know? So to be able to send a link to give them a taste, they say,
Please do share. You
you
know,
know?
too, I what my desire is for us meeting is to build that community, have the sacred space where we can come and meet, be ourselves, take off the mask, let down our hair, and just be, right? No pretentious crap we don't got to put on for nobody. This is a space where I want us to come and lay down the issues of our heart. Let's talk. Let's see, there's healing in conversation. And so let's talk. What I don't want this community to be is something you feel like you have to do. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I have to get to this. No, if you don't have a strong desire to, you're not going to receive the blessing. So I ask that everyone that participates come with an open, willing, ready heart, because there is something I believe, no matter how small the group, there is something that you are going to leave with, a nugget of some kind of truth, a new awareness, something you're going to leave with that's valuable that you didn't have before you came together to gather here with us. And so that's my desire. I want it to be grace and ease. I don't want it to be a task to do. I want women to really desire to come, hurry up and come to the space because they know there's healing here, there's nourishment here, there's transformation here, there's like-hearted sisters here who need other sisters. We don't do life alone.
Yeah.
And we need to tap into the sisters that we have in our inner circle. So Elba, what's been going on with you? I
Yeah,
see you're
so
busy and have a lot going on.
it is a lot going on, and it looks like a lot going on. It is a lot going on, but it's with a different approach because I just personally been diagnosed officially with ADHD. And of course, I went through a process of emotions. But at the end of this process of the initial reaction of like, oh my gosh, I am neurodivergent. It's a sense of freedom, like a breakthrough for me because all along I've been a peg trying to fit into a round hole, and it's like all my life this resistance and masking. Like, okay, this mask didn't work. Let me try this mask. Okay, that mask didn't work. Let me try this mask. Rather not be totally authentic. Now, granted, I had my transformation 2016 where I got to finally see myself and do show up authentically, but then I would face a lot of resistance from others. And it's like, I can't find a balance here. And I think with the official diagnose, even though I was under a lot of suspicions about it, but it's nice to have someone validate what I've been thinking to say, okay, now that I've gone through the process, I accept it. Now, how do I leverage this in my life? And one of the things I realized to keep my rest, because it's very tiring because of the resistance. If it's either them resistant or me resisting, that resistant wore me out. There was a lot of times in Clubhouse, in the spiritual rooms, they could tell the women could tell how tired I was, the practitioner was, but I couldn't really say I know why I was tired. I just thought whatever was going through my mind, everyone else was going through it. They just were better at addressing it, but that's not true at all. So, with that being said, and I've been talking to my counselor about it, how critical it is to time myself in having rest before I reach burnout. And so this past Friday, I was at burnout. I had two events attend to. My son asked me to take him downtown to our community college because he's getting ready to graduate. And I just told her, I'm sorry, I just can't. And I came home about 3:30 and just stayed in my bed all day without no sense of guilt or shame. And really, it's when we come to a place to rest, we really need to be compassionate towards ourselves, because if we're not, we'll be guilty. Because throughout the day, of course, people reach out to me wanting to talk, and I said no. Usually I would say yes. I said not now, maybe Sunday. And they're like, tomorrow. No, Sunday. In other words, I got to boldly put my boundaries up to say, no, I'm not going to talk to you. And I don't your needs are. I must address my needs first before I can support you. And so I did that Friday. And then, of course, Saturday, I had literally an all day event, went from a networking event training to a birthday party, family birthday party, to going to see the Sleeping Beauty at the Ohio Theater, and finally came home. But I wasn't burnt out. I wasn't tired. I wasn't moody. It was because what I've done Friday to manage today, Saturday, and then into Sunday. And so now that I'm at a balanced state, it's critical that I maintain this balance through rest. Now, balance doesn't mean perfection. It's just balance with my energy so I could sustain for long periods of time. So today's topic with rest, I'm here with open arms or open mind, with open ears, to know what are your ways of rest that maybe I can adopt that into my life. And you, Natasha, being the midwife of self-care, there's no one better than to learn this than from you.
Yeah, and
So
I mean,
that's what's been going on for me.
yeah. And, with that being said, I have been in this arena for many years, but there's a saying, you teach what you need to learn. I teach self-care. I know everything there is about self-care because I need it so desperately. You know what I mean? So, um, that's just plain and simple. So the topic of rest, sacred rest. And so, what is sacred rest? Sacred rest is a holistic framework that I designed to help us reconnect to our inner wisdom and um, energy that we need to get to a deep space of nourishment and, relaxation and growth and transformative change. And it is not sleeping, it is something different. Is um, Rest is required for that deep sleep to come. You have to rest into a space of sleeping. A lot of us deal with sleep issues, like myself, between medication and menopause. I don't really sleep well, and I would not make it if I didn't have a practice of sacred rest. This is something we all need. And so, REST is an acronym that I came up with, REST, Reclaiming Energy for Sustainable Transformation. And basically, that's what it is. We need to call back our energy that we've given away, call back our energy so that we have the capacity to rest. Sometimes our physical bodies can't rest because our mental capacity, it has shorted out. We've taken in so much news or phone calls that disturb us or whatever. We don't have the capacity to fully rest, because when we take the time to rest or lie down, there's so much chaos going through our mind. We don't know how to shut it off to be able to experience um, that sweet rest that I'm talking about. So I have my notes here. So REST, reclaiming energy for sustainable transformation. And then we're going to talk about how maybe some ways that you would like to incorporate rest into your life. So rest is not just physical rest. There's physical rest, emotional rest, mental rest, and spiritual rest. And so in order to be fully balanced, you have to experience rest in each of those categories. So reclaiming is taking back your personal power and reclaiming our natural rhythms that modern life erodes. We have to have, we have to be willing to take it back, take our energy back to do the things that we want to do. Sometimes we feel guilty about that. We put out so much for other people. Like you said, you had to pause, have that sacred pause, no, or create safe boundaries for yourself. Sometimes we feel guilty about taking time for ourselves or resting. We'll say, oh, but I got to cook dinner. Oh, but my son needs me to take him here. Oh, but this client called at the last minute and they have an engagement and I got to do their hair, when you know you don't feel like it. Or, oh my gosh, there's someone else who needs my help, but I have to teach today and I have to, so it's many different things. So energy, cultivating and preserving energy by consciously choosing activities and thoughts that nourish us rather than drain us. I would like to know how many of us do that. How many of us do we just take in, take in, take in? It's easy to do in this stage of social media because we get in the habit of scrolling, taking in stuff when you're not even really aware of all that you're taking in. You're scrolling, you see something nice, boom, then you hit a news clip, and you see baby drowned in the bathtub, and then you hear somebody got killed over here. No, it's what are you taking in? What are you allowing? Do you sit and listen, or do you get off? And do you protect your sacred space so that you're not taking in that extra stuff? A lot of us, it's just subconscious. We just stay on social media and we don't even realize what all we're taking in. So S, sustainable, creating lasting practices and rituals that consistently renew our well-being. And that's why I gave you guys a book. So that's just something that you can use. And like I said, is very helpful for me to do those things. Create affirmations for yourself, create mantras for yourself. Take the time to create the sacred space where you can rest. Sometimes it's our physical space. We can't rest because it's so cluttered. We look over here at this corner, there's a pile of this stuff. Look over there's a pile of that stuff. No. Is your space conducive for rest? Is it welcoming rest to come in? So be mindful of that. T, transformation, for facilitating profound shifts in consciousness, health, and overall life quality. So, the transformation part, we have to position ourselves to be open to the change. Sometimes we get in a rut and we just get on autopilot that we're just doing. We don't take the time to take a sacred pause, clear the space physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so that we can see some transformation happen in our lives. And so, many of us, when we think of rest, we just think of one dimension, that's physical rest. Oh, let me just go lay down. But is that really helping you when there's no mental rest or there's no spiritual rest? No, the physical rest is interrupted. And so, for me, I think it's just creating space for you to have a sacred pause and a sacred rest. Like I said, for me, I'm not sleeping well at all. And I don't know if any of you ladies have gone through, like menopause, using medication. Between those two, I don't get enough sleep. But like I said, if it wasn't for rest, I really don't know where I would be. And that's one of the reasons why I like to talk about sacred rest, because it gets me through. It gets me to a space where I can welcome in some healing and see some healing take place. So, what what do you do for sacred rest right now? Do you have a sacred rest ritual? What are some of the things that you do now? How about you, Marilyn?
What I do, can I just say something? I think this will tie into me asking the question.
Mhm.
Something that Elba said, and what she was talking about. Um, no guilt or shame. Okay. I think as far as sacred rest or your sacred self and the acronym that you use, for me, I have moved, and I didn't just move into this, but speaking present tense, moved into that sacred space of no guilt, no shame, because this is my life.
Mhm.
Okay. And I know that a lot of things are going on in our American world today. And I have to bring myself to tune certain things out. And how I do that, it's like sometimes this may sound funny, but I actually do it. Sometimes I would just get in my vehicle, park around on the back side of my house, recline the seat back, and just go to sleep, because I'm changing my environments, okay, for
Yeah.
my sacred rest, okay. So I get out in nature, or you talk about not being able to sleep at night. Well, I've been having like situations like that, so I had to ask myself, what is causing me to move out of my peaceful rest?
Mhm.
So I had, I'm all about this finding you inside of you. So I had to go within and ask myself these type of questions. Okay, who am I allowing into my space? Who is sabotaging my mind? What am I thinking about the most? And when I began to look at that, and I shut it down with no guilt or shame,
Yeah.
and a lot of it has to do with just certain types of energies that people carry
Yes.
that is disturbing my peace. And I have no guilt, no shame. Now, I'm not rude, and I don't just come right out and tell you that, I don't want to be bothered. But I do it in a way of humility, and in a way of peace, and a way of love, and with no guilt or shame, because this is my soul, my health, my life that I have to protect. And I end with saying also how I protect myself, and answering your question. I have to remind myself, and I do this through journaling, through just self-talk, that everybody is not um, doing this inner work. And so there can be this projection, and when I understand how things are projected, okay, then it comes into my space. And then sometimes I'm not aware of, like, why is my alignment out of alignment. Then sometimes it's just the energy that you're around. And it could be social media. It could be these students at school. And now I don't let that bother me, because like being a
Mhm.
substitute, I have a choice,
Mhm.
because I don't have to go and I don't have to come back. And see, and there's no shame and guilt with that,
Mhm.
because I didn't birth these children. I didn't birth these 7th and 8th grade students that is like, who y'all think y'all talking to? So that's how I protect myself. And going back to something that Elba said, with no shame or guilt,
Right.
because if I don't protect myself, who else is going to do it
Mhm.
at the end of the day?
Yeah, a couple things. You have the perfect space to go and receive nourishment in your backyard. It is so peaceful and so beautiful. So you are blessed to truly have that space where you can just drive around to the back and park and lean your seat back, because it's such a beautiful space. So yeah,
But can I say this, that to what you're saying? And you have to find the places. whether it's in my backyard, whether sometimes I'll even go to the park. Believe it or not, sometimes I would just drive. I have to be real creative. I'll go to a parking lot that's, kind of like near some scenery, anything to change my environment to keep my peace within.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. I had up until just a handful of years ago, I really dealt with the guilt and the shame because I so much of my my identity was wrapped up in being a good mom, was cooking breakfast, cooking lunch, having dinner ready, having the clothes washed. My everything was wrapped up in taking care of my children, who became men that I still felt like I needed to take care of. So it's just until the last few years that I've really been able to separate, and and people will put stuff on you until you create those boundaries. And just really quick, with my kids, they will not even call me, child, until something is happening at the house out there in California. Mama, the dryer went out. What we supposed to do? Buy a new one? Uh, Mama, I got a headache. The bottle say take 2 Tylenols. How many I'm supposed to take? Take two. Be grown, don't call me, figure it out. Yeah. So yeah, and I had to let go of the guilt of not of separating myself from all of that, because that is not all that I was here to do, was to have children and raise children. No, tend to my personal needs, tend to just tend to my joy and peace and happiness. And uh even when I left California, I had people try to guilt me so bad, and everybody just said, you gonna leave, your kids? Now they were all grown at this. You gonna leave? Yeah, I had to get to a space where I said, fuck them kids. They all grown. Fuck them kids.
Oh, that's
Because
good right there.
they will figure it out, and they have. And create
Natasha, but Natasha, what you just said, the comment, fuck them kids. Really, we say, just for those who are watching this, whoever's watching this, they'll take it personal and think, oh, she had to do that about her kids. Really, you were just telling that to yourself, to
I
your ego,
was.
that's making you believe that you had to be there for your kids. But so you're not really saying the energy towards your kids. You were saying that to your own ego that says, you gonna leave your kids? Yeah, I'm leaving them kids, because our ego is gonna go wherever we go. So we gotta
Yeah,
address that ego and tell them, no, we're leaving and we're going over here, whether you
yeah.
like it or not.
And even other ways, Elba, I know you can relate because we've had conversation how your grown kids will come and put stuff on you. uh, can you watch the kids? No. Well, I have a job interview. Like, it's your job to watch the kids because they have something to do now. And they will put that, no, I don't feel like doing that right now. So yeah, creating boundaries and being able to say no is huge for some of us. We have to really put that into practice. How do we say no so that we can say yes to ourselves?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we say no. I'll go back to that. Something that Elba said. We say no, and we get to the place as women where there is no guilt and shame in that, because at a certain point, our parenting was over anyway. It's just that we created codependency, and I'm not, saying that's a taboo or whatever. We've all done that. But then when we began to realize sacred self-care, taking care of ourselves, okay, it's like the light bulb comes on. It's that right now I am an elder in your life. I'm a wise woman in your life. I'm really no longer your parent,
Right.
because the parenting days are over. You're grown. So it's detachment without shame, or guilt. It's detachment and being okay with detachment. And my son is 45 or 46, and he doesn't come down here a whole lot. I think he just come just make sure I'm okay, and I get that. But today he was like, well, I was gonna come down and sit down and talk to you. And I think he does it because he thinks I get lonely or what have you. And I had to tell him, like, listen, you don't have to come down here. I am perfectly fine. And matter of fact, I didn't want him to because I'm doing this cooking and I know I was getting ready for this Zoom and all of that. And I didn't feel any guilt or shame and said, you don't have to come down here. I am cool. So it's also letting them know when you have set those boundaries, because it takes them a while to like, wow, it's like, okay, she didn't really kick me out and I'm 25, 30 years old. But they eventually get it because we're having to teach them that I have a life and I'm going to live my life.
Yeah.
My days are over and I don't have any shame or any guilt in saying, I'm not babysitting.
And too, and it's like, where is the guilt and shame coming from? It's coming from the narrative. So that's why I was using the ego. The ego's using the advantage of the narrative or culture or society narrative to make us believe that we have to show up. When I went into
That's right.
when I went into postmenopause immediately after I had my surgery where they removed my ovaries, I went right into menopause. It wasn't like the beautiful experience that women go through, which it was menopause, which has a stigma to say, oh my God, I'm going through this. No, it's a beautiful process for women to walk into and go through the journey of the transition. I went right into it, and it took me, I was down mentally for 2 weeks. And one day I was just asking the Lord, like, what's happening? What's going on? Because I couldn't understand it. And the word that I received from in my spirit was just look at just this what I heard literally. Just look at it this way. You're not responsible to procreate anymore. And when I heard that in my spirit, I just yelled hallelujah because my father in his patriarchal mindset made me say, we're here, man is here, intention is to procreate. And then the second thing is looking at television, looking at commercials, going at stores, looking at pads, tampons. That kept me remind other women talking about it, kept me in the mind like, oh, I got to think about my next period because, I'm going to have sex with my husband and I got to make sure I don't get pregnant. It was of that mindset for years that wore me out. But as soon as I went into postmenopause and received that word, it relieved me of that narrative to believe that. Now it's a narrative, doesn't mean it's true. But to going back to feeling guilt and shame, it's like, what if we're feeling guilt and shame, then what narrative is running through our mind to make us believe that is to be true? And if we can create a new narrative or reframe the narrative, then we'll find a new truth, and that will relieve us into the rest that Natasha was talking about, that lead us to that transformation.
Mm-hmm. Chakra, what say you, girl?
Well, I had to take notes because I constantly and have come into this space over time of constant resetting myself, resetting my thought. I speak more in a metaphorical way to give you vision of what I see. So I have been through all practicing getting back on the road, getting back on the road, getting back on the road. As part of that, I'm choosing to listen in anything that I'm engaging in, take a note so that I don't forget. Because I'll go to where Elbow started. If I had been officially diagnosed, they probably say I was ADHD too. Now, let me tell you something. We all know and familiar with, if you're not, you probably are, Louise Hay. You Can Heal Your Life. Do you remember her story? She was physically diagnosed. And here's how I look at where we are and how we all navigate where we are, and we could end up saying the same thing as how spirit works through us. This is the third dimension. The earthly plane and all of its programming, its hamster wheel. Then we may have this experience. Some of us come into the plane already fully awakened, aware of ourselves as spiritual beings in an avatar operating. Some not. Some are, they come in as babies, but their family may not be privy to all of their fullness. Mm-hmm. So it gets stifled. Or you may have these gifts and you pull back. The third dimension loves to, and this is for me how I resonate and operate confidently in my square. Now, many of us have watched each other evolve over time. And you may remember we may remember each other's old selves. But we're in a sacred space right now where we come and speak from the highest part of who we are very transparently. All right. Louise Hay, she was diagnosed with cancer in her feminine region. She told the doctors because how she channeled and operated in the world was from a metaphysical platform.
Yeah.
And she is the mother of what you say you are, right? Am I right, y'all? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Her story is she was diagnosed. The third dimensional doctors said, yes, you have cancer. You have that. And she's a person of metaphysics through affirming, right? She said, give me a couple of months and I'm going to work with myself.
All right.
I'm going to work with my mind.
Yes.
Huh? And then she did. She worked with all of her thoughts, all the energies, all the different pieces. And then she came up with this, and she was a trailblazer, still is with her work. So in that awareness in my walk as a spiritual being, having a human experience, who has awakened from the awareness of the third dimension and choosing to operate from the higher at the same time. I call that walking in the spirit.
All right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I recognize over time that I got stuff going on all the time. You know, even my children, you say, "Hey, Mom, what you doing now?" or you feel yourself like, you know. But I've learned over time, because of the divine's guidance to tools, information, people, and innate gifts and skills, because everything that we do now could not have been manifested unless it came from the divine and manifested through man. So the ADHD, I look, there's some, depending on how you're wired, whether you go with a natal chart system of a traditional astrology or ancient, there's systems. And there's systems that I've been brought to attention to that I apply to myself. Everybody got their flow, right? Everything that you said about how you know, right? The third dimension has labels, not knocking it, has diagnoses, and I always just hear the vibration of Louise Hay. I've been in environments where I've seen witness of people coming, presenting to the congregation. For example, I was raised Baptist, Catholic, a little Pentecostal, but navigated more in the metaphysical teachings, which is universal. Anyway, we used to have teachers that would come that would say, I used to have cancer. I was diagnosed by the third dimensional doctors with cancer. But then they began to have conversation with the cancer. They had conversation. What is this that I need to know? Show me. And it was like, wow, I've seen this myself. So when I was brought into the awareness of a particular system. And this, we don't have to get into lanes or boxes how we see it, but this particular system matched it, like resonated 1,000% with me. There are people who get into astrology deeply, there are people who get in different systems, but this one particular system, I was like, wow. It helped me understand that ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm wired to be a multi-passionate, multi-creative that I cross because a part of me is a motor. It's normal for me to skip steps but come back. Another person could be strictly more introverted, and they actually have to wait for an invitation, otherwise they'll burn themselves out. When I came full circle to understand that and then to begin to practice the awareness, and again, I'll stop here. It's not what the book said. It's not what someone channeled. It was a resonance of, wow, I recognize this. And I recognize that when I was operating in the way that the system says to operate as far as decision making, I breathe better. But when I'm not, wow, I'm all over the place. I burn myself out. At the end of the day, irregardless of labels or systems, it is understanding ourselves as the energetic essence that we are operating in this physical vessel.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm always talking to clients because they talk about their children, with ADHD or some of the, no, we come in here highly evolved.
All right.
We're in a soup. If you could see, this is a thick system of all kinds of transmissions and payoffs. That's why when these changes happen on a worldwide basis and right now in the country, those of us are highly sensitive and we fall in that category.
Yes.
Okay, HSP, highly sensitive, highly intuitive. Even if we're not looking at the news, we feel it. So you got that going on.
Yeah.
So I'll rest that there. If you ever want to talk about it, Alba, I'll share some stuff with you.
Well, and maybe maybe what I need to be more clear is that yes, the diagnose helped me to understand the matrix a lot better because I was trying to fit into the matrix when really all along it's just I'm wired differently. And so with that being said, the process of an emotion led me to the acceptance, which leads me to excitement, which is because I have a superpower. And the superpower that I'm going to leverage and use it to my own, where the choices I make, it's like, going along with back to the original intent of the conversation is about rest. It's like, oh, wait a minute, because my organ brain is wired this way, I got to be cautious of my brain because we're working together with my spirit, with my brain. And so I set boundaries and I check with my own alignment to say, is this aligned? And so I set the boundary and that looks like, no, not today, maybe tomorrow. So the positive, the negative is the finding out because for all I know, in this matrix, the ADHD is to make us believe, which I've been listening to a podcast, and it's all about ADHD, where it's about make us believe there's something wrong or broken. We're not. We're not broken. We're not wrong. The system might be broken. The system is wrong, but I'm not broken. And so therefore, the system had made me believe that I should be accordingly when it's not true at all? How about the system work accordingly to me? And so, with that being said, what this does for me is finally break through this matrix, just come out of it and operate from my paradigm, creating my own reality. And that's where Natasha is saying, oh my gosh, I'm seeing you a whole lot because I'm operating in this new paradigm. What that's doing for me is opening up a lot of opportunities, big major opportunities that I've been waiting for, which I have seen myself internally. What it looks like is just I couldn't break through, and I was reading books, I was going classes and courses and all this goofy stuff, doing this so-called personal development, which I didn't need no development. And once I broke through that, and I'm like, hold on, I'm going to do leverage what I got, my gifts and talents. And once I did that, I started to attract a different kind of group of people, filtering those that was not in alignment with me, and everything, my LinkedIn page, my website, everything.
So the third dimensional way of diagnosis actually turned out to be a gift of higher awareness for you.
Because
it came out to be a gift. There's no negative. I mean, we could ride on the idea of negative, but that actually helped turn into a gift of a higher awareness for you. And I recognize that for myself. I never officially I had suspicion. But when I started to align with myself in my awakened way, that's why I constantly now practice resetting, getting back on resetting. So like just for me, just now, I calm myself down and change my tone because I'm excited, because I'm in a space that I can be received. We can have these conversations. Essence,
but you know what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, but you're not listening to Chakra, you and Elba. And I was thinking back of my school days, how many students, and even at the high school level, have been misdiagnosed with the term of ADH, ADD, all of these names. And when you understand something about the history of education, they always wanted to give labels to anybody that was, quote, different. Gender, race. I mean, that's where epigenetics come in at. And I remember back in those days, psychologists, and they would send them to the doctor, and they would get diagnosed and want to put them on medication. And I would tell, more specifically, Black parents, because Caucasian people, and this is just the truth, are very notorious for putting them taking medication and giving their children medication. That's just a trend with them. But I would tell parents privately, Black parents, don't put your child on medication. Don't put them on that. Don't put them on that. Because I would explain to them in a very simple way, that's the way they're wired.
And people will put
and you
stuff on you.
And you have to have within the education somebody who understands energy and vibration. And I tell you, students that are indigo students or indigo people or ADHD or ADD are some of the most intelligent people. And that's not to say that everybody else is not, but see, they see things in a total different way. And because they do, and society sees them as the unfit, or something's wrong with you, or something happened in the birth canal, or your community. No, you see the world in a cosmetic way, and didn't realize that you've tapped into that type of frequency. And so then coming into adulthood and coming into consciousness and awareness and metaphysics and all that, you understand that there was never nothing wrong with me. This is just how I saw the world. And the world And the world put me in a box and made me think that something was wrong with me because
Wrong with
I
me.
think differently.
Right.
I may do it backwards, but guess what? Backwards worked, and therefore, like what you're saying, Chakra, I may whatever that is you called yourself, that creator, what do you call, what is yours?
Multi-passionate,
Yeah, and
multi-creative.
multitask. And so it's like,
Mhm.
oh, that's abnormal. Do one thing at a time. But when you're
Right.
wired like that, it's just like
Yeah.
I can do 50 things at a time, and I know what I'm doing because I
Right.
got bored with doing that. So I'm gonna come back to that. But I didn't forget what I was doing. And so
Right.
this thing about finding your peace and finding your sacred space is finding out the real you, because of
Yes.
the programming has made us think that I have something wrong with me. We vibrate at a different vibration. I am saying this. We vibrate as a different vibration, and we always are, because when we move from that 3D and tap into the other dimensions,
Yeah.
that's the real self, and that's abnormal to other people. So they want to
Right.
medicate you.
But with
You
the new
mentioned
awareness
frequency.
comes a new resonance.
Yeah,
When you
that's right.
when you have a new awareness, you vibrate differently. You're on a higher level, a higher plane, if you will,
Hold
because
up.
of the awareness that gave you some enlightenment or a different vision for how you see things.
So it ties all the way back to once you come into that space, then you begin to recognize the unique ways, or you find unique ways that help you to reset, to come into rest, to do what's necessary to activate your nervous system into homeostasis.
Yes.
Essence talk said frequency. When I was doing just only a few weeks ago in my, you know how we do if we're in a contemplation, we have a question that we're working through, and we do our journaling and reflection. So I come up with an acronym for myself for ADHD. I just talked about this for myself. And it
Okay.
is
A
a
divine
divine,
higher design. I love it.
That's
not
nice.
a disorder, a sacred frequency.
Yeah.
We are wired, some of us are wired for wonder, not conformity.
I love that. Can you
Let me
text
say
that?
this, the time, yes, I will, but the timing of this conversation, and for the audience that's watching this, what you're watching is divine alignment. You see, each of us have had in our own way hearing the divine frequency discussion about this. That's how this is not a coincidence. It's a
Right.
synchrodestiny. This is a part of being in a sacred cocoon where you can connect. And I say that I'm speaking as if I'm talking to another divine soul that will see this replay. See, when are able to be in alignment with frequencies or energies like this, each of us expressing transparently what we're navigating.
Right.
This is what happens, and this refuels us. This actually that not validates, but provides clarity and confirmation that, sister, whoever you are, it ain't in your imagination.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, get in the frequency with
Yeah.
those that bold enough to walk what's necessary here in this dimension. Elba sought out what was necessary to get a clarity. Now she's reharnessing that new information for power. For she understands her superpower even more. I'll go next to the parenting and the challenge of our children, and when we shift out of being a parent. Uh, I see that for myself with my daughters. I remember my oldest leaving the house, and I ended up in a fetus position for 2 weeks when she left. She had graduated from high school and went started doing, and she left because we had estrangement, right? And oh my God, you don't know all that impacts you being a parent. Like they still have their umbilical cords inside you. you know. And I learned about myself then, becoming almost halfway empty nester. My youngest had to get into bed and hold me over a 2 week period. I went to work and came home, but I was literally, this thing just came out of me because my daughter had left. I began realizing you gotta have a life. You better start building in your little garden some structure and some foundation for you. And I realized it's time that the mother wasn't dying, the counselor was evolving.
Mm.
I'm normally not here on a Sunday. They clean it up if you hear. And I'm grateful because they keep the place nice. The owners, you know. But I remember when the first child was leaving, and then I realized, oh, the second one's gonna go. But at the same time, I didn't want her to feel like she couldn't leave me because at an emotional time, I need her to be able to survive out here. I need to get a life. I need to anchor my energy and my space into what feels good for me being on the planet. And then I went through that again when I was approaching 60s. I was like, oh Lord, because the old program was like, oh girl, you ain't got no man, you ain't got no husband, you done, those of us single life. And actually, I love my life, but I had to go through a cocoon period with that too, because our society has all these isms and paradigms, you know. So I see as a parent, we shift, consider that, from parent to coach to counselor. Because now when my children come to me, they already know how to look at a situation different ways and say, mommy, it's no longer, mommy, I need this. They're like, okay, mommy, here's what I'm thinking. Oh, I ain't got to say nothing. They come to their own conclusion by the time we get off the phone. I've learned too. Don't ask. I'm not talking to you in the middle of the night when I didn't work I done multiple things all day, and I could tell in your voice you need something. You need something. You need some kind of currency, or you need some kind of heart currency. You know, and it's draining. So call me in the morning when mommy's much more rested. By the time the morning comes, the problem has been resolved.
Right. Right.
So I appreciate having gone through that, you know, as a parent. And I'll close out. Yeah, that's it. Understanding it's a forever journey, understanding the unfoldment of who we are. There's no arrival. It's the destination. It's the journey all along. All the parts of us, all the little pain child that needs nurturing, that grows up into a teenager child, that grows up into a young adult and sees us as operating from our higher self, looking within to say, trust me, I'm here in this dimension now. I'm here in this present time. And the others, you have to trust me so that we can move forward, right? That's how I see it for myself. So I reset myself again. It's a constant work. I'm choosing that because I really, the older I get, it seems like more and more wants to come out, more and more creativity. And sometimes people on the outside, I used to always feel like, and I still have that thought sometimes, I just ignore it, that people will see me doing too much. Well, you're not designed to operate like I am.
Right. Right.
So the divine reminds me, look, if I really want to enjoy all of the wonder of seeing others transform through my connection with them as a woman of wisdom, those that come to me in that way. I'm known as Mama Wanda. I'm known as Sister Wanda. I'm known as daughter, right? Squeeze all the juice. Enjoy all the journey. Wide open. If I fall down and skin my knee or hit my head, I have one or two people that know how to speak into me, that know how to give a little water, that know how to give a little food, okay? Literally send you food, okay? And I think of the Bible, I think of that person that was beside the waters, right? When, you know, I'm like Medea when it comes to talking about the Bible, but look, they was by the water. It's like they couldn't walk. But the one spoke to him and said, yes, you can. Just get up, move your limb a little bit. And in our dimension, you have to have sacred souls that know how to hold space,
Yes.
that know that it's not okay. Don't try to jump in the quicksand with you, right? Sometimes you got to sit at the shore and say, look, move a little closer. You can do it. I see you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we celebrate when we cross that bridge until another bridge presents itself.
Yeah.
So this here is a bridge to remind me that I have a place to be rest. This is the conversation today. I can rest in that. I can rest in being transparent. I can rest in sharing vulnerable situations. I can rest in hearing another sister share hers. I can rest in not being afraid to give another aspect or viewpoint without them feeling some kind of way, without me feeling some kind
Right.
Right.
I can rest in that. Because we
In
got
this
enough to deal with out here. We need to rest
yeah.
in
In this
being
conversation
ourselves.
today,
Yeah.
we have had the opportunity to experience rest on all levels: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. We've had the opportunity to rest in all of those areas through this open conversation. So I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful that this is a space where we can be vulnerable. We can say what we're really dealing with. And Elba, I'm glad you have clarity now with this new information. And I often wondered about that. I'm grateful to see your response to it, because I had a very different experience with my son. The teacher said, "Oh, he has ADHD," and so once the teacher says that, you have they, you have to send your child to be evaluated. And at that time, they gave him pills, and 2 pills in, he was like a zombie. So I flushed him down the toilet and told the doctor, "No, I didn't sign up to have someone else's child. I want my child.
Good
So
for you.
I need him off of the meds so he can be himself. I don't need a watered down version or a zombie version of him, so that the teacher's job can be easier, because she's pregnant teaching the 3rd grade and she's exhausted. So she wants to label my child with ADHD because she doesn't know how to cope. She doesn't have the tools in her toolbox. So to make it easier, let's push these kids out, get them diagnosed."
Right.
And so I was not easily, I, I believe sometimes they throw these diagnoses at us, people of color,
They
and
do.
puts us in a holding box,
They do.
and then we'll put the lid on the box so that there's no growth, there's no freedom, that's all our capacity is inside the box. There's no room for exploration, there's no room for growth, there's no room to be your authentic self. And so I found it very different. Now, I don't know how it is as an adult. I see you with this awareness as like a confirmation. Oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not, oh, there is something. And my brother is bipolar schizophrenic, and he got diagnosed. He didn't know. But when he got diagnosed, he said to me, "I feel so good that I know now there's a name to what I have. I know I'm just not out here crazy. This is what's wrong." So it's many ways to look at that. And I'm really glad that this has supported you on your journey, that this gave you a new sense of clarity and a new awareness, to get you to a space to say, "Okay, yeah, this is what I have. I operate differently, and I'm okay. And it's okay. And now I know." So I'm glad that confirmation came for you. But and it is different as an adult. But to whoever's watching, be an advocate for your child if your child is diagnosed, because that's a very different thing, I think. But I'm glad, and I'm
And
glad.
professionally, all of us know it's important that respect each person's journey. Disclaimer: if you're already in a process, you're already working with professionals, continue to do that.
Yes.
And what we are sharing are ways to observe it in a different way, along with what you understand. And so, with that said, like Marilyn is an educator. Every one of these ladies are educators, but you pointed out something, Marilyn, in your journey, especially in your education journey, what you observed later, which was the aha from previous years. You mentioned the indigo children. You mentioned I'm aware of crystal children. There's information about that for anybody's watching. Um, Understanding a natal chart. Yes. Quantum, look at human design. That's a really good system to work with. It is about understanding the fullness of that beautiful being, you yourself or your children. There are ways to understand how they operate differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, this has been rich. Go ahead, Elba.
Yeah, this has been really rich for sure. I was just thinking about how critical rest is, and I appreciate you acknowledging my awareness because before before of the confirmation or diagnosed for years as a transformational life coach, I've been always working on transformation, evolving, like Chuck saying. So I had already been in the practice of and had already been in the practice like in rest. And one of the things I've learned as a transformational coach is in my own personal journey, why it was critical to rest. And my rest looks like, you asked this question earlier, like, what do we do for rest? Rest for me looks like walking because where I live, it's my home is built 1965, and so the homes around here, which means we have mature trees and animals and birds, and so it's very mature here. And so on a pretty day walking, it feels like I'm walking in my sanctuary when I'm walking and I'm connected back to nature. So I've been doing that for years. It's how I lost 95 pounds from walking in nature. And so I say all that to say it is critical to take care of ourselves because that's it's the one time only I feel in my experience to get to know ourselves, to get to know thyself is in that self care when we're taking care of our body, when we're taking care of our mind, when we're taking about our spirit, we're getting to know who we are so that when we go face the three-dimension plane, as Chakra was saying, when choices come up, beliefs comes up, we can make a quick decision to say, nope, yes, no, yep, no, and not have to think about it or have to pray about it. No, I done the inner work to know who I am, that when a choice comes up, I can make a decision. And so that right there this is self-care helps us in a nutshell to be in an alignment with ourselves. So then when choices come up, we know what we want accordingly to our values.
Yeah, well, self-care.
And adding to that, to everything, self-care and rest comes with stop judging yourself.
Yes.
Stop always wearing yourself, trying to figure yourself out. That brings so much stress to the body. And where does that come from? It comes from outside of us.
Yeah.
Because see, all of this recalibration of the subconscious mind is in operation. So you have to come to a rest of stop judging yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to figure yourself out, because that is the journey, to just live yourself out and not always trying to figure yourself out. And the root cause of us always trying to figure ourselves out is because of all of these billions of narratives that have been told to us before we were 8 years old. And so that programming or that that wheel, that chakra that you're talking about, on that hamster wheel, it just goes on and 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 on until I think it was you, Chakra, that brought up the Bible scripture where the person sat beside the pool for 38 long years, and Yeshua, the master teacher, came along. And I love that because that's getting into metaphysics. It's saying, look, get up and take up your bed and walk. And sometimes we have to have people that do come into our life that holds us accountable and say, look, enough of the judging, enough of this or that or this or that. Okay, it's time now for you to live your life. It's time now that, okay, you got the clarity. You know that you're not stupid. You know you're not crazy. You know that patriarchy, all that exists. So now go and live your life.
Yes.
Go and be a creator.
Yes.
Go now and help others cross the bridge. So we have to come to a rest within ourselves that, doggone it, I am okay after all. I'm not like all these other billions of people that I've been trying to be like because my identity got lost in that. No, I am this. And I'm happy with that. I'm still working on myself, but look how far I have come in my life. I have found so many parts of myself under the iceberg, and now on top of the iceberg, I don't have to use all these different coping strategies. I like myself. Matter of fact, I do truly love myself. So moving away from the self-judgment. And that's a part of rest too, because that's releasing that stress and that cortisol, that hormone is actually healing our bodies as we rest and sleep and just do nothing.
And
so I just want to say that part.
Self-care is so important because metaphorically, if you are experiencing a state of burnout or living in that space of burnout, you can't metaphorically pick up your bed and go, right? So it is really, 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 really important. And today's conversation has been rich.
I would say how I never shared how I actually what I practice for.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I fell in love with being around water years ago. And so now, self-care is like totally number one. Staying in connection with the divine as I can see it, the divine, I see the divine above any religion, above any spiritual practice. I see divine, I named me to stay in it, to realize that the wind that I feel across my breath, my face, is the same energy that's creating universes as we speak right now.
Yes.
That created, let's talk about our planet. Oh, we're not the only thing out here, but it created this beautiful, luscious planet. It has such a love to create us as human. You means God, okay? Man. All right. Human. And we came as male or female physical avatar. We have energies of both. Then you come down into your beautiful culture. Then you come down, you're assigned to a particular family, good, bad, or indifferent. There is no good, bad. It is what it is. You may have been a reincarnation from an ancestor to help heal something in your lineage. So then you show up, you here. You come through the birth canal, but there was another birth canal before the physical birth canal. It was the thought of you in the mind of this creator. And then there was a divine team. This is what I believe, and I have seen in my life for myself, that was delicately there, fashioning you in the light that you are before you came to the womb of the mother and the father that you were assigned to. So now you're here. Okay. It's a beautiful thing. You're navigating this indifference, whether you have limbs or not, you're here. And we have the responsibility as a collective beings to take care of each other. But we haven't done a great job collectively since the beginning of time. It is what it is. But you can still have heaven right here on earth.
That's
in
right.
your awareness, in your mindset. And this is the times we in now, you better stay. This is what I say. I have to stay in the upper room. Because if not, I'm going to go crazy.
That's right.
I don't even have to leave the house because I can feel it all around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But being able, see, the divine brings portals like this, connections like this, to be able to rest in. So I spend a lot of time by water.
Yes.
And
Hi, Albert.
Movement and writing.
Come down. Where they
Hi, Albert.
Hi, Albert.
Hello.
This,
Yeah.
this is my husband, 33 years.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
He is, thank you. He has so much wisdom. You see the library of books I have, that's just one shelf, right? I have to read all those books to get one wisdom from him. He's so good.
Well, he holds it down so you can do what you do, Elba. Yeah.
I'm just grateful. I'm grateful and I'm thankful. And she's been a blessing too. So I can't say enough. It's like when you get, we both can't be the same, right? So you get someone that's like-minded, right? So
Right.
like-minded, that's what gives us that power,
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever my gift is, we able to come together. That's what it was intended to be.
I love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And congratulations to 33 years. That is such a huge blessing.
It is. It is a blessing. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. There's honor and respect there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you, ladies.
These are all the ladies I would talk to in Clubhouse.
Oh, that's great. Because she talks about it. It's like it's really like good to talk to other women too. So it's like that's really neat. I'm glad she has that too. And thank you for being a blessing in her life too. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Let's receive. Well, we are going to wrap it up for this first Sunday. And I want to say rest and self-care is soul care. It is soul deep and spirit led. So pay attention, listen, and be open. This is great. So I look forward to journeying through the month to come to another meeting next month. I'm not sure what the topic will be yet, but I'm so grateful for each and every one of you sisters. And I love each one of you so dearly and so deeply. And I'm grateful for the energy that you are and the energy that you bring. You make, each of you make life rich for so many other people, including myself. So I'm grateful for you sisters. If I don't tell you or show you or call you enough, or I'm much love and much respect for you ladies, and I love you guys so much. And thank you for making this such a successful sacred space, so other women who hear this later on down the road can come and receive a blessing from your wisdom and from your words. So rich, and I'm grateful. So thank you, ladies.
So before we close, I do want to acknowledge, first of all, anybody looking, because we always have to remember that people will see this in the future. So Natasha Lee is the midwife of this sacred self-care sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
And your website is?
ChakraBlissT.com.
And then you have Marilyn Essence. Okay. Yeah. Essence. And she's an educator, but she has a podcast. You still have your podcast?
Yes.
I do.
To find it.
Tell us about the podcast, baby.
Oh, Finding You Inside of You. Well, you can find me on YouTube and also Spotify and the major platforms of social media. Finding You Inside of You, Essence Evolve. And also on Facebook, Essence Evolve. And I've began to write blogs, and I've posted some of them on my main Facebook page. So if you find me on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and tune in to all of my series that I've already recorded. And as of next week, I will be starting series number 4 on my podcast, Finding You Inside of You, The Journey Within.
Yeah.
And Elba.
Yeah, and you can find me in my website, and in my website are my social media links. So just go to inspiredbyelba.com and you'll see everything there about me there. Thank you.
And you
And
shall.
me, yeah, I'm Ask Mama Wanda on most platforms. What I'm focused on now, I have a 33-day Living an Awakened Life boot camp. And don't get upset. It's all good. It's not even intense. I just created a playlist on my YouTube, and it just a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes in the evening. That's all. That information is already out there on any of the platforms. I'm going to keep it as simple as that, because that's how we roll. We stay in the rest. Okay. It's not intense. But if you want to rock with us, it's
Yeah.
about doing the work.
I
Work.
like
Work.
Doing the work. And you got to stay in the upper room to get through all this. Turn that TV off.
Yes.
We love you.
Yes. Yes. And Chakra, Dorothy Inez called me this morning. She said, you have to hear Chakra's song for today. You have to go listen to her song and go. And I'm tuning into her boot camp so that people are going and they're acknowledging. I got that phone call right before we started today. And she
Oh,
said, Chakra's
that's
song
beautiful.
is so good today. Go check it out. So I'm going to go check it out.
All we do, all of us, we learn who we are and we operate from our authenticity. And then you recognize that there are seeds that you have planted years ago, and you bring it out, and it's a divine time. You never throw anything away,
Facts.
right?
Yeah.
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 Peace and blessings to y'all. Thank you. This
Peace
is
and
so
blessings to everybody. I love y'all, and I will see you before next month. But we'll meet back here in this divine sacred space next month with a new topic. Until then, peace, miracles, and blessings. Bye, ladies.
Ashe.
Bye-bye.